Hey, what's up? Good morning. Welcome to Hobby Evolution episode 203. Uh, that centering is going to be hard to judge on the front for grading, right? What's up, George? Good morning. Um, I feel good this morning. I shaved earlier this week. I got a haircut last night. Um, I'm feeling fresh again. It's been my last haircut was before Thanksgiving. Last haircut was like the week before Thanksgiving. So 3 months, a little over 3 months since a cut. So it was nice to get rid of all those hairs. So today I wanted to talk about Project 70. Brad, what's up? Love the sweater. Go Cubs. Pitchers and catchers have reported. It's a great day in the neighborhood. Today I want to talk about a couple things. I do want to. I've got a bunch of Cubs cards. I haven't counted my Cubs in probably a week, and I still have a couple packages that I need to open. I've got to count my 2021 Cubs. And by the way, I have a couple big shipments arriving today. 70 pounds of top loaders, fingers crossed, will be delivered today. I've been trying because I'm out of top. Zach even sent me a bunch of top loaders. Thank you so much. You saved me. And I've gone through all of those. I've gone through, my most recent purchase. So put a quick order in. It was actually shipped fast. It's UPS. Thank God they shipped UPS because they've been the most reliable. Fingers crossed again. I don't want to jinx that. I checked the tracking. It arrived at my hub this morning. So hopefully it's on a delivery truck and I'll see that box of top loaders at some point today. Somewhere in the neighborhood of 4,000 top loaders. It weighs 70 pounds. So it's going to be a pretty heavy box. Also, another big mail day, I guess you could say. It's not a mail day. It's kind of it's basically an in-person trade with my buddy David. He was not able, we had some weather last month, so he couldn't make it up here. He's coming up from the suburbs of Chicago. He has, and actually the weather kind of kept him in. He was able to sort more cards. So our original deal was for 16,000 Cubs cards, but in that month's time, he's been able to pull out more. And today I'll be picking up 28,200 Cubs cards. So it's been slow. I've been focusing on eBay and not on trades. So the trades are just trickling in, which is by design. That's what my plan was. But it's I wanted to focus on these bigger bulk buys and trades. So 28,000 plus will put a nice dent, put me closer to 600,000. I think it will put me 28,200, so 44, 54, right around 560,000. So a little over 560,000 after it's all said and done today. And it's Friday, so retail's out, but I'm going to sit on the sidelines again. I may make a target run at some point after work just to pick up maybe a couple blasters of tops if there's any on the shelf, which I assume there will be. Herman, what's up? Good morning, Herman. Texas Rangers, rest of players scheduled on Sunday. Very cool. I know the Cubs reported Wednesday. The Cubs reported, pitchers and catchers reported on Wednesday. Not sure when the rest of the team reports. Maybe Sunday, Saturday, Sunday as well. Zach, what's up? Good morning. So I wanted to talk about those two things. And then I also want to, morning I woke up to, it's been a frustrating week on eBay. Between eBay and the Postal Service. So I talked yesterday about, 2 days ago, I talked about how retail postal employees just kind of go rogue and make up their own rules, or some follow those rules to a T while others are just kind of go with the flow and they'll let anything slide. That was basically a jinx because then the next day I have 20 bubble mailers returned to my doorstep because the labels were too small. The same labels I've been using for 3-4 weeks that have been delivered successfully and gone through the whole postal chain. So that was really frustrating. What I did was I just dropped them off at a different post office So hopefully they were accepted, moved on. So I tried a little, but tracking wasn't moving on those either. Once I dropped them off at a different location, different city. So what I tried was, it was Zach was my guinea pig because I had his package ready to go. I decided I'm going to put this in my mailbox, and we'll see if it scans. And guess what? It scans. So Zach's package marked picked up. I actually my office faces the road, and I can see the mailboxes. So I have to lean out the window and watch like my dad did after retirement. He'd be like looking through the blinds. Oh, there's somebody at the neighbor's house. So that's what I was doing with the mailman. Hopefully he didn't see me being a creeper. So I watched him, and I could actually hear, I can hear his scans like beep, beep. And I heard the beep, beep scan of Zach's package. So I told him, and guess what? Got the alert, picked up whatever time it was, good to go. So hopefully what's frustrating is I pay for it, and I just renewed my postal box at that particular location, which is actually the closest post office where I like do everything else. It's the most convenient, but it's inconvenient because they will return my PWEs. And, a lot of people will say, well, my PWE was returned for postage due and it needed a non-machinable stamp. And out of 10,000, excuse me, out of 10,000 PWEs that I send out, a handful maybe is unfortunately one of Zach's had postage due when he got it. But the one time I dropped them off, they returned to me, probably the same employee that returned the bubble mailers. So now I just drop them in the big blue mailbox, which actually routes through the same exact post office, or I'll put them all in my mailbox and they work fine. So that has been frustrating. Then all of a sudden I had one of my trades that I sent out like 2 weeks ago. It's only showing the pre-ship scan. So I've got to find where that package is. That was a smaller label, so it might still be at the post office. I have a PWE tracking that hasn't moved in 10 days. So I've got to find where that is. And it's not like a $2, it was like a $9 card. So I don't really want to eat $9. I'd like to find the PWE and get it moved on. So I may have my first experience of how the PWE tracking insurance works. So scanning the package. So it's been kind of a frustration. This morning I woke up to a return request that said, "Sorry, brother, I've got 10 of these. I want to return this." And here's the frustrating part about that is it was a $2.50 card, $2.50 card, sent my standard, the way I send all $2.50 cards with the PWE postage. So here's what I think, 9 feedback, by the way. Here's what I think happens in not all cases, but some cases. They open a return expecting the result to be, I don't want to deal with this, so I get a free card out of it. So here's how I think it works. The card was shipped PWE $2.50. If they open a return, I'm now on the hook. If I accept the return, I'm on the hook for $3.30 bubble mailer postage. And that comes out of my fees, and the buyer has to send the card back in a bubble mailer with the postage I pay for. So it's not worth it to accept a return on a $2.50 card, because now I'm out the sale. I'm out $3.30 for additional postage, which it was shipped PWE. So a lot of these buyers that play these games say it was shipped PWE. If he accepts, he's not going to accept a return. He'll just refund my money. So the buyer then gets a free card, and that's the game they play. I don't know if this was the case, but there was an option to decline a return. And so here's where, as a seller, you're kind of like stuck in between a rock and a hard place, because if you accept the return, Now you're out $3.30, which I know sounds minimal, and it's kind of like, well, I'm going to teach them a lesson. Don't return because I'm actually going to accept it and pay for that stupid postage. I'm not giving you a free card. But you start doing that time after time, and it adds up. So I'm thinking big picture on all this because of the transactions that I do. What's up, Dak T Mac? So I declined the return, but here is where I'm stuck. If I accept it, then I'm out, an additional $3.30 or whatever the postage runs. If I decline it, he could be unhappy and leave me a negative feedback. So I hadn't had any coffee yet, and I declined the return. I was salty. This morning. So I just declined the return, no message, declined the return. So we'll see. This has happened before in the past. Sometimes, in many cases, they'll just let it go. And hopefully that's the case, because and I think when they let it go, that was their plan, was I just want a refund. I want the card and a refund, because he's not going to waste his time and money on a return and that $3 postage. So I just want the card for free. So we'll see. We'll see how what the result is on that case. So I think that's the end of my frustrations. But the good thing is, and some will see these, and I post them every once in a while on Twitter, and you'll get people that say, this is why I don't sell on eBay. Well, the fact is, this isn't happening on every transaction. I have 100 sales per day in the last week. This is happening more, obviously, because it's a numbers game. The more transactions, the more issues between the Postal Service not delivering, not scanning, running into potential scammers. It's all a numbers game. The less sales, the less headaches. The more sales, the more headaches. It's the old cliche. It's the cost of doing business. So I just, deal with it and move on. And that eBay buyer was blocked. So today I wanted to talk about Project 70. So I never got into Project 2020. I thought it was pretty cool. I was kind of, I was amazed at the peak in May last year and the downfall right after, the Griffey Shore, the 99,000. But I never got into it, and mainly because there were no Cubs subject on the card. So and it was, it was the same. And I think another was, I burned out quickly because it was the same 20 cards, and you knew right off the bat, okay, it's going to be, here's the 20 cards. It's going to be the same 20 cards for eternity, it seemed. So they unveiled Project 70, and initially I'm like, it's just another Project 2020. I'm out. But then it released this week. So 6 cards have been released so far, 2 days. So the first 3 cards were released on Wednesday. And I'm like, hey, these are pretty cool. So Ben Baller did Mookie Betts in the 1988 Topps design. Then there was Ermsey's Fernando Tatis Jr. And I love Ermsey's work as an artist. I think that he does some really cool things. And then the third there was Tatis, Betts, and I can't remember who the third was. So I'm like, hey, this Tatis Ermsey is really cool. And I think for me is that I get tired of the same old routine. So I think that's why I never really got into Project 2020, besides the fact that there were no Cubs, it's also the same thing. So I got tired quickly. But these, Babe Ruth, thanks. David, thank you. Babe Ruth was I think DJ Scree did the Babe Ruth card. So with Project 70, they're not unveiling the checklist, and these artists are doing, and there's 51 artists doing 20 cards each, so 1,020 on the checklist, but it's like at their discretion. They can do any subject on any Topps card from the last 70 years. So there's bound to be a Cubs subject at some point, and I think that's the mystery behind it. So I'm like going, and this is great, marketing for Topps by not unveiling a checklist, because I'm now like guys like me, and there's probably a lot of us that think like this, that we're going to go check out Topps.com every day to see what subjects, because maybe it's a player collector, maybe it's a team collector. Like, I'm only buying Cubs. I'm not buying any of the other stuff. I appreciate the art. I think it's cool. I think it's a great idea. My wife is a big time art fan. I shared the story this week of her art purchases. I'll have to show off the two pieces she bought. It's kind of cool. One's like a violin, and it's like set in, like it's like matted in, I guess, but it's an actual violin, and it's completely painted white and then like splash. It's really cool. I'll have to show the picture. So I've gotten more into art because of my wife, and my mother-in-law is a big time art collector. So I've gotten into art. So I appreciate this, and I can understand, 6, 7, 8 years ago, this project would have done nothing for me because I wasn't into art. I just want the cards. But now I appreciate the art side of it too. And George, I think you and I kind of think alike on the whole art aspect of these cards. So I love the way Topps is unveiling this by not releasing the checklist, and just letting us find it. And, like I'm only going to buy the Cubs, so I'm going to check the website every day to see if there's a Cubs card that's released. But I'm also interested in some of the other artists, like Brad mentioned in the chat, Snoop Dogg. So it's like, what's Snoop Dogg going to do? And Snoop Dogg had his first card released yesterday. It was Ronald Acuna. And for me, I didn't really care for it. To me, it looked like an album cover. It looked like, it looked more like an NWA album cover, or The Chronic from Dr. Dre. Seeing Brad loves it. And that's the cool thing about Project 70. And Herman thinks it's garbage. That's what's awesome about Project 70, is that I'm like on the fence. Like, yeah, it's kind of cool. Herman thinks it's garbage, and Brad loves it. And that's why I love Project 70, because we all have like the same, is when it comes to cards, some of us love the same things, some of us hate the same things, some of us are indifferent, and that's kind of how the art world is as well. Herman's an Acuna fan and doesn't even want it. So the other card that was released, and it's in my title, was the 1990 Topps Gold Cup Ken Griffey Jr. done by Bobby Hundreds. I didn't know who he was. I had to Google and check out his Wikipedia. Big time DJ. He was like the first DJ to play Lady Gaga, Kendrick Lamar, a couple other big artists on the radio, according to Wikipedia. So big time DJ, and he's a collector. He's like us. He's similar age. I think he's late 30s. So he grew up in the junk wax era. Zach says the artist who did Griffey ripped on collectors. So it's his personality. Like, I know that tweet kind of, it came across poorly, but I get like, and he kind of, if you read his timeline, I went through a bunch of his tweets, and it's I think it's his personality. He even mentioned like like his thing is divisiveness. So at first glance, the 90 Griffey, I'm like, what is this crap? It's basically the Griffey card with like a wave at the top, and it's miscut on purpose. This is garbage. Then I read the explanation behind it. Bobby Hundreds was a junk wax collector, like probably all of us here in this chat, at least. Um, he was collecting in the late 80s, early 90s, and he had a fascination with error cards. The 89 Billy Ripken F-Face card, the reverse negatives like the Dale Murphy 89 Upper Deck, just the little nuances in error cards. So he wanted to put that on his own. So basically, his whole card is an error card. There's like a dozen errors on the card. So once I read that and saw his background, like he collected like I collected at the same time. So we have that same, love for collecting from that era when we were 10 years old and collecting what is now junk wax, and having that, like, I remember in like 90, like ahead of 90 Donruss, like I remember. So the hobby now is getting to the point where it was in the early 90s in kind of different ways, but I still remember to this day, 30 years ago, going into 1990 Donruss's release. We belonged to this like campground lake. It was basically where I grew up. There was a lot of coal mines, and the coal mines had shut down decades before, but they created lakes from mining all the coal. And so there was a campground coal mine lake, just a mile or two outside of our town, and it was basically for you had to be like a veteran of a foreign war, American Legion member to belong to this lake. My dad was a veteran, so we belonged to this campground lake, and I remember sitting outside of friends of ours camper, and my friend's mom was talking about reading this article about 1990 Donruss and how it's going to be, you really want these cards because there's so many error cards in 1990 Donruss. This is like a middle-aged woman who has no idea about baseball cards talking about error cards in 1990 Donruss. And that's kind of where we're at. We're getting close to that point now where it's like, our, grandma's talking about, oh, I saw on the news today that baseball cards are popular. I've got a bunch of cards in my closet. So it kind of reminds me of that. So that's how I can relate to Bobby hundreds. And so David says he can't get the Griffey card. So it's an error card. So he's putting his spin on error cards into some of his favorite cards growing up. So there's like a button missing on Griffey's jersey. There's like a stripe missing or an extra stripe. He put himself in the background, and it took me like 4 or 5 times to look at the card to see that. Now all of a sudden I just like, now I'm looking at it. I love what are the differences? Like can you spot the differences in like the newspaper? I love those. Maybe that's why I love this card. So like the 4th or 5th time I look in the background, it's like there's people in the crowd. I wonder if those are like real people. And one of them is him. He put himself in the background, and I don't know if he's the kid, but he like hinted at it in one of his. There's the comma and the period is misplaced in Ken Griffey Jr.'s name. Of course, there's the wave. There's the reverse negative on the gold cup. So it's just a lot of like different nuances in error cards. And I think it's really cool. And I can't wait. I'm almost thinking about buying. I never thought I would buy an artist's run, but I may buy his run because I really like the idea. I think I have like 40 hours or 50 hours. Each card is up for 70 hours. So I may, just because I think it's cool, and that appeals to me, but it doesn't appeal to Zach, and it doesn't appeal to Brad, and it doesn't appeal to David. And it doesn't appeal to a lot of people. And there was so much chatter on Twitter yesterday about this. And it seemed like was into it. The community was hating on it. And that's kind of what's fun about this project, because I love the Bobby Hundreds Griffey and all the errors. A lot of you hate it. Brad loves Snoop Dogg's Acuna, and Herman hates it despite being a Braves fan. And that's what's cool about Project 70 is it brings all of these critiques and opinions out, and it's cool. So I can't wait to see what Bobby Hundreds and Brad, that's his theme. So errors are his theme. So he's going to put like 12 errors on every card. So I can't wait to see his next card and spot the differences, because I like playing those games. So it's really cool. And man, fingers crossed, I hope he does a Cub, because I probably won't end up buying his run. But I do want all the Cubs. I'm going to collect any Cub that is released. So I hope he does a Cubs player. Man, it would be so cool if he did like the 90 Topps Gold Cup Jerome Walton, the 89 Topps Ty Griffin. I know that's probably not going to happen, but it'll be interesting to see what his checklist will end up being. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. Project 70, and I'm into it. Oh yeah, somebody mentioned the Jameson set. And see, the Jameson set's kind of a meh to me. It's just kind of, I think it's kind of cool. And I think part of the reason I'm not into that 51 Topps set is there's only like one or two Cubs in the 51 Topps. And I think Wayne Terwilliger maybe. I think there's the Redbacks and the Bluebacks. And I think the Cubs have only like one card in the Redbacks, maybe two cards in the Redbacks, but and I think that's probably why I'm not really into that 51 Redback Blueback set, because there's just no Cubs represented. Check out the 90 Donruss Griffey error I posted. Oh yeah, Zach posted that's fun. I need to check out some every once in a while when I'm just laying on the couch and my wife's watching like Kardashians or something, and I'm just on my phone. I'll look up like high-priced eBay auctions just to see what kind of craziness is out there. Zach found an awesome one yesterday, 90 Donruss Griffey for $900. So it's always fun seeing what's out there. Herman's going to stick to Jameson, just a few others, maybe Taylor. Lauren Taylor has an interesting story. I was reading up on her biography yesterday. Had like a serious injury. She was a big time softball player, and then dealt with some mental health issues after like a major injury. So I'm interested to see what she does in the project. George is going to have to check out the first Cardinal to see what he'll do. Yeah, so that's kind of my plan. Is I'm in, just like Project 2020. If there was a Cub, I would have bought them all, but there wasn't, so I didn't buy any. Project 70. If there's a Cub, I'll buy it. But I'm looking forward to. I saw somebody released, I think I saw it in a Facebook group. There was a checklist released of the first like 9 cards. So like this week's cards. And so far the first 2 days it's been correct. So I can't remember. There was not a Cub in the first 9 cards, but so it'll be interesting to see what else is on the checklist. Like there's still over 1,000 cards to go. So we've got a long way to go. That's what I had for today. Happy Friday. That's what I've got. So tune in, Brad. Hopefully everything's up and running for you. Brad was on live yesterday, so he should be going on here shortly on his channel, Texas Card Dude. That's it for me. Check it out on Twitter at 1millioncubs, websites 1millioncubs.com, eBay stores 99centcards.com, and the link is also at the top of the page on 1millioncubs.com. Thanks so much. Have a great Friday, and we'll talk tomorrow.